Dawn Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It's a privilege to make my speech on the day that so many great maiden speeches have been made. I want to thank God and thank the people of Brent Central for returning me to this place, not only as a Labour gain, but with a majority that makes me blush. Oh, no. Yes, I fear you're right. I know in this place you can be a maiden only once, but I'd like to follow in the tradition of maiden speeches, and I'd like to thank my predecessor for her congratulatory card and her warm words. She worked very hard for Brent Central, and she said it was a privilege to serve. Brent Central was created in 2010 from the leafy Mapesbury to the lovely Harlesden. But in 2015, Brent Central sent a clear message that having suffered under a Lib Dem Tory coalition, they wanted no more of it. Unfortunately, Labour failed to win the election, and lessons will need to be learned. But as we listen to the party opposite, you can almost be forgiven for thinking that they were not responsible for the bedroom tax, which saw hundreds of people move out of Brent Central, or the young people who decided not to go to university because of the increase in tuition fees, or those who haven't enough money to pay for the expensive prepay meters installed in their homes, or afford legal representation, or the closure of our A&E at Central Middlesex Hospital, where the poorest people of Brent Central have to travel the furthest for emergency care, £25 in a taxi or an hour on a couple of buses. Attending an A&E at Norfolk Park Hospital, where last week 575 patients waited more than 4 hours to be seen. It has been a tough 5 years, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I fear for the next 5. As one of the founding members of People Against Austerity, I know I'm going to be really busy because unlike the last MP, I am not a part of the government, so I will stand up to the government and hold them to account. Just imagine, in the year that the Magna Carta celebrates its 800th birthday, it falls on the Labour Party to stand up to these important freedoms. As a former trustee of the CAB and a magistrate, I see the devastation when rights are taken away. We as a Labour Party need to be as an effective opposition. Kensal Green's Reverend Oliver talks about 3 R's: reserve, regrets, retreat. We must hold nothing in reserve and have no regrets, and we should not retreat from our founding principle of a country fair for all. The people of Brent Central have given me this chance to serve them as their Labour MP. They were so sad on the 8th of May when Labour didn't win the election and wonder what lies ahead. Of course, we've got the tax cuts for millionaires, poor people and elderly freezing in their homes, bedroom taxes for the poor and disabled, 0-hour contracts, food banks, and the tax avoidance by the richest corporations, while charities restrained by gagging laws, while professional lobbyists roam free and unfettered in the lobbies of Westminster. And through all of this, painting the trade unions as an organisation in need of reform. In reality, the trade unions defend and protect people who are on 0-hour contracts or who cannot afford legal representation. And on that point, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Brent Central is going to become the reggae capital of Europe. And as a woman with locks, I feel compelled to quote Robert Nesta Marley to the opposition. You can fool some people some of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all of the time. I will hold true to the promises I've made on the doorsteps of Brent Central. I will fight for all of you, not just the few. From those in Tokenton, Stonebridge, Harlesden, Kensal Green, Willesden Green, Dollars Hill, Dudden Hill, Wellsharp and Matesbury, I pledge to work on the issues important to you. From prepaid meters to the NHS to legal aid, to name just a few of those issues. I will be unstinting in my effort to represent Brent Central. Mr. Deputy Speaker, under the Labour government, my mother's breast cancer was caught early, and for that I'm grateful to the NHS. 3 years ago, my father died from an infection at a hospital, And I hope that we can work together with the opposition to make the NHS a place that's fair and free for all. But Mr. Deputy Speaker, be assured that I will work to hold the government to account to make sure that we save the NHS. Mr. Speaker, there may be more members on that side of the House than there are on this side of the House almost, but I hope in this Parliament that we not today, yes, not today, but on this side of the House we aim to help the many and not the few.